Let's speak to Andreas Umland. He's a political analyst at the Stockholm Centre for Eastern European Studies and joins us from Warsaw. Andreas, thank you so much indeed for your time. This is going to be so interesting. I believe I remember correctly, there was a meeting of EU leaders where Volodymyr Zelenskyy turned up and Orban didn't shake Zelensky's hand. That almost said everything.
Yes, the relations have become extremely tense between Ukraine and Hungary, so the expectations are high. For rather difficult to understand reasons, Hungary has turned during the last years as a boycotter of both EU and NATO policies towards Ukraine. It has used its voting rights within the European Union and the North Atlantic Alliance to sabotage lots of programs, different meetings, financial programs, and so on. And for Ukrainians, that has been difficult to understand because Hungary has its own history, so to say, with both the Tsarist Empire and the Soviet Empire. Hungarians have suffered a lot from Moscow rule. But nevertheless, they now de facto support Moscow in this fight, Russia in this fight against Ukraine.
How much does a nation that holds the rotating presidency of the EU, how much influence does it have over EU policy? Or is it simply a case of sharing responsibility and allowing every European nation to feel that they are part of the driving force of the entire bloc?
These rotating presidencies in the European Union, they have a limited significance. There are permanent institutions like the Commission, the Council, the Parliament that play the crucial role. But these rotating presidencies, they have an agenda-setting function. And here Hungary can perhaps influence what the EU will be discussing and not discussing in the next half year. And unfortunately, one has to expect a lot of difficult situation during the next half year, both because of developments in Europe and also perhaps because of developments in North America, the US elections. So this is, I would say, an unfortunate coincidence that such a country is now presiding in the EU. Hopefully this visit by Orban in Kiev will change a little bit the attitude of Budapest towards Ukraine, and it will not boycott and sabotage the help of the Europeans for Ukraine.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the election in the United States, Andreas, because again, if I remember correctly, Viktor Orban was in the United States not that long ago. And of course, he went to meet Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago when Donald Trump is not the president of the United States. In terms of what Viktor Orban's vision is for a settlement of the Ukraine-Russia war, he talks about a peaceful settlement. But do we know if that includes Ukraine having to give up some of its eastern and southern territories to Russia?
One can only suspect that this is perhaps included in this idea that Ukraine would simply give away some territories, which is, of course, a very dangerous development for Eastern Europe, because there are lots of countries in Eastern Europe where territories have belonged to neighboring countries for some time, and there are sort of tendencies of revisionism, of irredentism, revanchism also not only in Russia, but also in other countries in Eastern Europe and across the world. So if this is Orban's idea, we don't know exactly what his idea is. And the same goes also for approaches of, let's say, China or Brazil. They have these peace desire, but they don't explicate what this actually means in terms of Ukrainian territorial integrity. If that happens, if Ukraine is really forced to give up territory with international approval, that would unravel the whole international system of national states with fixed borders.
Andreas Umland, really appreciate the analysis. Thank you so much.
Thank you.